Every time I read on my newsfeed a post about someone finding a treasure for next to nothing, it bothers me. The post usually starts with something like, I paid $4.99 for this at my local thrift store, and when I discovered what it really was, shocked me. I see these posts pop up every couple days. Sometimes they pay very little, and sometimes they pay more than I would expect someone to pay, especially if it's of an old painting that they paid $99 for, but then they find out it's worth thousands. The difference is that some people know approximate values of items without having to look them up. They spend the time and study a particular genre of antique or collectible item, like someone that's into sports memorabilia. He'll research old sports equipment like signed baseballs, baseball cards, and jerseys to find values, so that when he sees them somewhere, he knows. This speech, though, is for the rest of us, those that don't have prior knowledge of values and have to look them up to find out. My background is resale. I've always had an interest in vintage and collectible items, from vintage 80s clothing to World War I memorabilia, 70s cars, vintage watches, vintage photography equipment. In the late 90s, I managed a resale photography store for over 20 years. Even though it was a walk-in retail store, most of our business was done online all around the world. Many of us have old things laying around the house. Is it junk or is it a treasure? By doing some simple online research, we can find value to most things in a few easy steps. First, we'll pick something, then we'll learn how to identify it, then we'll learn how to look it up. We will use eBay. First, I will identify an item. This is something I have laying around for a while. It's an old camera, specifically a Polaroid land camera automatic 100. I know the make and model by reading the information on the camera. Sometimes an item isn't as clearly marked as this. You can then try to Google Lens to search. This is a free tool available on all cell phones that has Google installed. With Google Lens, you simply take a picture of the item, then it'll match that image with millions of online images and show results. Once we have identified the item, we will use eBay to search with the keywords we have. For my camera, I simply type Polaroid Land Automatic 100. Then I then see many listings of the same camera for sale, over 500 listings. Next, I will filter my search results. I click Search Filter, then scroll down and click the Sold Items button. This then shows you various sold listings for the same item and shows you how much they sold for. You then want to go through all those listings to find the one that is in similar shape as yours by checking the pictures and descriptions. Once you find that, now you know what your item will most likely sell for before you list it. This is a proven way to list an item that I have used for many years. Unlike some sellers that guess the value of an item or use outdated reference books that are usually not accurate, when they do this, they can waste a lot of time with the research and listing process. This is the reason why you see many listings on eBay that end up on the site for months or even years at a time. There are some items that you may find that are not listed on eBay. For example, some rare or collectible items, they may not be listed for sale on eBay currently. eBay's inventory changes constantly. Sometimes you won't see an item you're looking for that's currently for sale or at auction, or even in the sold listings. In this case, we can use resources outside of eBay. A couple of good ones are Miller's International Antique Price Guide 2001 and Warner's Antiques and Collectible Price Guide 2006. If you find an antique or collectible in one of these books, Then you can use that as an approximate selling price. Another tip is that if you find an item that is not already on eBay and is scarce or rare to find, you can list it on eBay using their auction format versus a buy now listing. With an auction listing, you can enter a starting price or even zero. Then you can also set a reserve price, which is the least amount of money you would take for that item. However, sometimes the listing will end without meeting your reserve price. In that case, you can list it again with a lower reserve price or even use the lowest bid price and create a buy it now listing for that price. In conclusion, sometimes you can find treasures anywhere. They can be at your local rummage sale or thrift store or even in your attic sitting in an old forgotten box. It is important to do your research. Whether you want to start collecting as a hobby or flipping as a side hustle to make money, the more you know, the better. By using these simple research techniques I, I explained to you by the use of eBay, I think you will be able to find values quicker wherever you go.